UFC 189 has just wrapped up, and I'm joined by Chad Mendes. Chad, obviously disappointed in the outcome of that fight. What are your thoughts on how it went for the first 2 rounds?
I thought I won the first 2 rounds. I was, sticking to the game plan. I was able to take Connor down and control, pretty much exactly like we thought I'd be able to on top. There towards the end, I just kind of gassed out a little bit and was able to get me up against the cage. I should have moved my feet. I should have circled out, but I stayed planted, and he was able to capitalize. So, that's the mistake I made. I got to get back in the gym. I need to get a full training camp under me, I think, for a guy like that. But, that's someone I think that, I would actually love to get back in there and fight with a full training camp, and hopefully we can make that happen.
What were your thoughts on his power? He speaks a lot about his punching power and how people fall when he hits them. How do you feel it was?
I mean, he definitely, I think more than anything, he has good accuracy. Some of the hits, there's definitely some of the guys in our gym that hit a lot harder. But, with those little gloves on, it doesn't take much. So, he was the better man tonight. There's not a whole lot I can say about it other than, I'd like to try it again.
What did you think about his ground game?
I felt like I was in complete control. I think right there at the end, the mistake I made, I probably should have just stayed there and kept elbowing instead of trying to go for the submission. But, I wanted to finish the fight. I went for it, and we were, slippery with all the Vaseline from my face all over his chest. And, he just was able to get back to his feet, and, that's basically when the fight ended. So, that was the mistake I made, and obviously going to get back in there and try to fix whatever I can and come back stronger.
You took this fight on very, very short notice. Obviously, you weren't even in a training camp at that point, so your cardio wasn't something that you were focusing on. How worried were you when you stepped into the cage, wondering whether or not your cardio would hold up?
It's not something I'm worried about. Obviously, I knew that was the risk coming into this, but, we knew Connor was tough. But this is a guy that I truly believe I can beat. I just feel like with the full camp, it would have, definitely been more beneficial for me. But, it's the risk. I took a risk. This is an opportunity. You jump on stuff like that. This is the UFC. That's a world title. You don't turn it down. So when they offered it, I was all over it.
Are you going to try to ask for a rematch?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, I'd like to do that again with the full training camp. I truly believe that Connor's a guy that I can beat. So.
Yeah. And talk to me about the atmosphere. As you were walking out, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was really awesome. Being able to see Aaron Lewis. Aaron Lewis is a guy that I've listened to his music for a really long time. I look up to the guy, and he's a big outdoorsman, big hunter. And to look back and see him up there on the stage performing my walkout song was pretty damn awesome. So, this is definitely something I'll never forget. This is history in the making, and I'm just so pumped to be a part of it.
An interesting featherweight division right now. Where do you feel like you stand? What do you feel like is going to happen between Connor and Jose? There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, there is. This is one of the most stacked divisions in the UFC, I believe, right now. And, there's so many tough guys right here at the top. I know me, Frankie, obviously Connor, Aldo. We saw some great fights tonight in the featherweight division. So, I don't really know what the UFC would have planned for me next or what they're thinking. But as of right now, that was the craziest 2 weeks of my life. And I just want to take a little bit of time off, get away from it, unplug for a little bit, and then jump back into it. So,
I imagine that involves hunting.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us, Chad. We appreciate it.
Thanks.